name of this show is Strategic Positions, and I'm Ralph Demetrius, your host. This is part 2 of our Creating Clarity episode. This time, as I mentioned before, Lonnie's behind the camera, so it's just me. And this was from a presentation I did a while ago based upon our book, Creating Clarity, and it's about how to live clutter-free. And the key here is not where you place things. It's about how you position yourself. And as you listen to this and watch this, you'll notice that there's no slides. It's all about personal positioning, personal posture, how this makes you feel. What do you see? What direction do you see it? It's a wonderful approach. It's surprisingly simple and easy to do. Why are children so optimistic? They spend their whole life like this. Mom, Dad, buy me something. It's like, love me, feed me. But they spend their whole life like this. When soldiers go into the army, what's the first thing they teach them to do? Stand at attention. Put that chin up. It makes them focus towards the future. And that's the other dynamic, height. The way the body reads things in terms of time is we relate to the upper section of the body as the future. Why? What am I having for lunch? All the senses up here for consumption are up here. Eyes, I see a rabbit running. I smell parsley. All the different things. I hear rustling. This is future in our body. Here is where we consume stuff, right? This is where a process is going on. That's right now. And of course, below, where we leave whatever we had yesterday, is the lower section. So it's the past. So when you walk into a building, literally, you read buildings like that. The upper section of the wall to you is the future. The middle section is the present, and the lower section is the past. This is why when you move into a house and you have all your stuff on the floor, you'll notice that you spend an awful lot of time thinking about the past, right? And people who have classic clutter, like the hoarder clutters, have nothing on the walls. Nothing on the walls. There's nothing to make them look up to the present. And because they're always trapped in the past, they're living in fear, right? They're not living in hope, so they don't want to let go of anything. People who are confident and people who live with hope are happy to get rid of stuff because I'll get new stuff. I don't need that anymore. And to the right is my confidence side. And also remember, it's the reaching out to other people. The way it works is the left side, if you think of it this way, is me. And so, for instance, when you hold a baby, where do you hold the baby's head? Here. So they hear the beating of your heart. That's me. I'll hold the baby, it's okay, But when I meet other people, my right hand goes out, we. So when in the room, the same thing. When you walk into a room, everything that relates to the left side of the room relates to me, and the stuff on the right side of the room relates to we. When people say, I'm having a problem with my relationships, I say, well, what's on the right side of the room? Are there any pairs, any images of pairs? Or is it all single images? How are you programming yourself? And then you're looking at the height. So when I'm walking in the room, I'm getting my eyes to go to the right. I'm going to my most confident place, right? This is the main button. My most confident place, a little bit in the future, above present, in the future, not all the way up. Though if you really need to be focused, like someone who wants to go, they really are focused on the future, then you put it up higher. People who have wonderful retirement plans all worked out. They have stuff in their house all the way to the ceiling line. No cobwebs. But when you go into people's homes when there's a lot of cobwebs up, you say, well, what's your plan for the future? They have none. They're not focused up into that future area. And this is also in the dynamics when you go into a great cathedral. What do? You walk in and you look up. It just pulls your eyes up. It's focusing you towards the future. That's why I say when you walk in the room, you want your eyes to go up and stay off to the right there. That's the main button. And the thing is, I'm telling you about the first one because you need to focus on the positive. When you're dealing with clutter and clarity, don't focus on your failings. Say, oh, I've got all this stuff. I've got all this stuff in the wrong place. Don't worry about it. Know why? Because it's like when you suddenly get a job and you start making a lot more money. It's amazing how many other problems go away, isn't it? It's like all these problems just evaporate. All the stuff where you were trying to fit, no, don't worry about that. We got plenty of money. It's the same thing when you focus on more energy. You bring the energy level up. You're inspiring more confidence in your body. When you inspire more confidence in your body, and your body feels safer, that affects your emotions. You start making more of the right hormones and things like that. And then that affects your mind, because your mind says, well, things must be cool. See, one of the things, and why this is so important in the doorway, and I say, you go through a doorway and there's a trigger, but there's actually something else going on. Remember, your field, your aura, your electromagnetic field goes all the way out here. In fact, it used to be the practitioners would wear big robes and big hats. So when they would go through a door, if their robe snagged on stuff or their hat brushed stuff, they knew it was too small and it needed to be changed. But when you go through, your field brushes that doorway. Additionally, when you go through, your response, you actually emit hormones. And your body reads them. And whoever went through there before, they did the same thing. And on that primal level, you are reading the message of who walked through there before. So if the door is badly designed, the passageway is cluttered or it's cramped, everyone who goes through there leaves behind this message. It's not safe, it's dangerous, it's cluttered, and you walk in feeling the same way, and then you just go right through that room after dropping all the stuff by the door, right? Go through that room to the next one. If it's the same way, you keep going, and finally you end up in bed with the covers over your head because just, no, I just can't stand it. But once you start focusing on the positive, you're bringing your energy up, and what happens is instead, when you walk with stuff in your hands, instead of just dropping it by the door, you start putting it away. You start carrying the things to the proper place. And so this is where the other button is. The other main button is right there. It's down low and it's close. And to describe it this way, let's say you're out walking up in Skyline Park, right? And you look across and there's a mountain lion, maybe about 50, 100 yards away on top of a rock, looking at you. And you're thinking, okay, could be a problem. But then you hear, and you look over and there's a rattlesnake sitting on a rock about 3 feet away, also looking at you. Which one's more dangerous? The snake. One, not only is it closer, but this one is there. You're kind of in your command spot. You could stop and pick up a rock. You have lots of leverage. But what's your best way of avoiding trouble? There's a Chinese expression. I'll give you a hint. The Chinese expression of the 32 ways to deal with trouble, the number one way is to leave, right? Right. Your legs and your feet are your main way of getting out of trouble. When you were a kid and you got into some situation and you got frightened, and next thing you know, you're 200 yards away. Have no idea how you got there, you're 200 yards away. That's that instinctive reaction. That which threatens your legs is your biggest danger because it's taking away your ability to protect yourself. Okay? So that snake right there. Well, this is also right here in the lower part of the torso where the torso flexes is the point where you have the least amount of leverage. It's in the area closest to the vulnerable organs, underneath the spleen, underneath the stomach. Remember, if you take damage to your liver, you're okay. If you take damage to the stomach with the acid, the warranty is up. You're done because the acid is so dangerous. So that's why the body works to protect us. So this is the area where you feel most vulnerable. So if you walk into a room and there's a lineup of like recycling bins out there on the left-hand side, your body's going to look at it. And I want you to just try this. It's easier when you're standing up, but you can do it sitting down. Imagine you can close your eyes and look up to the right and imagine something over there and see how your body feels, okay? And feel that sense of strength. You tilt your head a little to the right. You're up, you're looking towards the future, okay? Now, bend down and look to the left, towards your left hip. And see how your body feels? It's really a feeling of weakness. It really suppresses your energy. So when you walk into space and your body's imagining snakes, your body's imagining there's something dark there and it's going to get me. And as a result, when you walk in, your body's always designed that when you're walking, you can see the tip of your toes. As you're walking, you can always see the tip of your toes, okay? Just in the slight for a moment. It doesn't need a lot of indication. As a result, when you walk in, if there's something down there, you will look down. And you have just damped down your energy just at the point where you feel most vulnerable. And you've just painted this entranceway with, I'm afraid. That's not the message you want to have when you walk into space. You want to have the feeling that I'm brave. So the first thing you do is those things go. But actually, the second thing, first you put something over there. Remember the key. The secret is to go through the room standing straight with your eyes a little to the right, so you're using the optimal posture to make you feel brave and courageous. That just does it. Your spine is straight. When your spine is straight, all of your nerves are straight. Your brain is working better because now your brain has a more direct conduit to all your senses because your spine is straight. You feel more confident. And you're a little to the right. which means you're moving towards we, right? People like we. People like being around other people. People don't want to live isolated, so it's a confident place. The first thing you do is you create a strong focus there, and we're going to leave questions for the end. And the second thing you do is you find anything that's up in this section here close up that could be a potential thing that you could trip over, and you get rid of that. And those are the two buttons that relate to clarity. It's really that simple. And the thing is, it's like celery. Know why it's like celery? Because as herbalists, Lonnie and I are both naturopaths and we're herbalists, and people have problems with their stomachs. You know, real stomach issues. And the thing about the stomach is it has acid, a lot of acid, and it has a mucus lining made up of filled with sodium. And this is how the body protects the skin of the stomach from the acid. This is the sodium mucus. And when they have a problem with that, a lot of times it happens to women when they're pregnant a lot of times because they'll go through so much amniotic fluid, and amniotic fluid is sodium and potassium. It gets very low and it gets thin and they start getting stomach issues. And so you say to them, look, what you got to do is eat 2 pieces of celery, which is very high in elemental sodium and potassium, every single day. Organic celery, every day, 10 days, that's all it takes, because that's how long it takes to fix this. And you tell this to 10 people, and if one person does it, you're really lucky. Know why? It's too simple. It's too simple. So our solution is to say, well, it's special magic celery, you see. You can only get it from us. You have to come by every couple of days. We'll have it ready for you. Pick it up. It's $10 a stalk. They'll fix you right up, no problem. And then they'll do it, you know. And it's the same thing with this, with these 2 spots. That really is how clutter happens. And we've done literally thousands of consultations, and some of the places we have seen have just been remarkable, and every single time there's nothing there and there's tons of stuff there, and there's maybe other things, but those are the 2 critical spots. And once you bring people's energy up, you will change their overall attitude. You know, you're changing the attitude in the body. You're creating the sense of courage for them. Cool. Now, what image? This is actually going to be the hardest part for you. What image or what object should I put there? Okay, this is like the hardest thing. Guess what? The web. The web's a wonderful thing. You can find all kinds of images. You can print something out. You can make a drawing. It's got to be something that will really catch your eye, which means it should have high contrast. The one time when you don't want to put things up high is in the kitchen. If you want people to come in and sit down in the kitchen, what you do is you put something right in the middle of the kitchen, flowers or something, because that way when they come in, they see that and they want to sit down. Because otherwise they'll come in and say, well, let's go out for lunch, which is okay too, but still. It's also like the trick from when you want to get people to, you know, you have a spouse and you want to go on vacation and they're like, I don't know if I want to go on vacation. What you do is you cut out pictures of where you want to go and you put them on the refrigerator, right? Why? It's the place of satisfaction. And every time they go there, they see the picture and they get satisfaction. Then they go back, come back, picture, satisfaction. And after a while, they start saying, you know, we should really go on vacation. And I have an idea where. It's really that simple. People are very easy to program. I mean, really, really easy. So I like images that have pairs, since it's off to the right. It's the pair section. And typically, when you're looking to the right, a lot of times it's an area that actually relates to the heart. And remember, you're coming from the level of the heart right there. And I say, make it at least the height of your heart, or a little bit higher. But usually the height of your heart is just about right. Not belly height, unless it's in the kitchen, that can be a little bit lower. I like pairs. It could be 2 beautiful horses. It could be 2 eagles soaring together. It could be a bouquet of flowers. So a bouquet of flowers could die. A plant actually works better. But something that you feel is a sustaining symbol for you. It should have high enough contrast that your eye really goes to it. Like you should be going to the place and say, ooh, that's cool. And it really catches your attention. It's actually a trick you use in marketing. If you have a bunch of different titles for something, you ask people, if you ask them what they like, it's very hard to figure out, but you ask them which one caught your attention. People will tell you that, because that's really obvious. But pick something there that your eyes really go to and place it, you know, preferably a little closer. That's another dynamic. The distance it's going to be from you has a lot to do with how long you're planning. Like, for instance, if you go into a person's office and their desk is right by the door, they like to think short term. They're not long-term planners. CEOs have their desk all the way at the far side of the room because they're long-range planners. It has that one thing, and we think of distance in terms of time. You know, that which is far away is in the future. That which is close is right now. Mountain lion, rattlesnake. So pick something out Red, the eye will always go to red first. Why? Blood. Okay. Yellow and black is the biggest contrast, of course, but as long as there's good contrast, and place it someplace that it really triggers. And this is, if you don't have clutter, it's not an issue, but if you want a greater sense of clarity, pick out something that really gives you the message of what you want your life to be about. Because as you walk through the door, you are never more vulnerable than you've walked through the door, and whether or not, before you know whether or not there's tigers. Your body is so open for programming at that point. And so that's when you want to program it. And then the other thing is, go through this section here and clear the stuff out. Make sure there's no snakes. You don't have any place for things to cluster by the door. And that's easy to do. You know, it's funny, and you want to make sure the door is open completely. Many times when people have a lot of clutter, you'll find that, well, they tuck the vacuum cleaner behind the door, and then they hung coats up above that, and then underneath the coats are other stuff, and the door is coming in like this, so the whole entranceway has been cramped like this. And so the amount of energy coming in, when people go in, they're like this. Boom, it really shocks them, and it really and it disrupts them, and they start getting a lot of clutter. But that's a kind of an easy thing to do. But just clear that area, and it really is that simple. I know it sounds funny that it's that simple, but it works consistently. When you do want to clear, if you do have a clutter issue, finally, this is the final secret, is go clockwise. When you clear the room, start here and work your way clockwise around the room. Why clockwise? Because that's how energy naturally flows in the space. Energy flows into a space, it goes in and around to the space clockwise. That's how Indian teepees were designed. They were designed that you went in, you went off to the left. Okay? And so when you clear it that way, you start right at the door and you make the entranceway more and more open. That way you're getting more and more energy going in. You never want to go to the back of the room and try to dig yourself out. You'll never make it. You just never will. You just get buried back there. You get back there, and you want to have a place where you're able to get the stuff in and out, and you can back out easily too. I'm done for the day. But the posture is everything. I know it sounds funny, but it's just people. You will see this. It's funny. The other day we went out for brunch, and there was a mom with her kids there, and she was walking to the restroom, and the daughter was following her. And the mom obviously had training as a dancer, maybe ballet. She walked very, very straight. She was very slender and very, very straight. And the daughter was walking behind her. The daughter was about 10, and the daughter was walking like this. And it was so opposite from what you expect to see. But you could tell it was a relatively affluent family. And more than likely, this child had been given a lot of things, right? And the thing is, we normally create the child's bedroom when they're born, right? We buy the furniture, and the only thing we change is the bed. It's not until they go from being a little girl or a little boy to being, springing up, that you change the room. So there's that transition period when they're still in a room that was designed for a baby. And where does everything end up? On the floor. So you have kids all the time who are spending all their time doing this, and they have so many items now. You have all the gadgets, you have all the toys and things, and then when they play games, the video games are over like this, and they're always focused down here, and you see sometimes, the problems we have with children's moods is really extreme. Well, they spend a lot less time standing like this. That kinesiology really matters. Like I said, we do this, we did, in one of our books, we did a whole study on this we muscle tested people in different situations. We muscle tested them underneath fluorescent lights, and everyone goes weak. Big surprise, right? You put them underneath incandescents, it's stronger. You put them in the sun, they're much, much stronger. You put them by a symbol of a circle, and it makes them strong. You put them by a symbol of a triangle, they're strong. You put them by a symbol of just a cross, a very angular cross, they go weak. But if you make it a rose cross, where it has the circles on it, they go strong again. This is just symbols on a wall, or they're touching it, but our body recognizes these as symbols, and they resonate with our spiritual self, with our spiritual language. And it's very easy for people to give themselves the same message just by not paying attention.
When you first walk in?
Whenever you've gone through like a structure, remember your field is out here, the door is in there. As you go through, your field gets compressed. Your body knows it. Your body reads that. Also, everything that you're smelling is now much closer. Everything's tight. So basically, you look at the point at which you kind of go like that, And that's when the fight or flight reflex turns on. And at that point, your body's reading everything. And it's amazing when we muscle test people, how much people read. I mean, they will know, how many dots there are on the curtain. They'll know, they'll give you really, if you ask their body reads a tremendous amount that is not telling the conscious mind, because you don't really need to know. You don't need to know that stuff. But it's reading a tremendous amount. It will walk in and know exactly how many chairs are here. It does that automatically at the limbic system, at the fight or flight reflex. Oh, the lefties actually get it easier because they're used to having to adjust.
Okay.
Your lefties they're always more in a situation where they know the world was not designed for them. So they're always adapting and they're always adjusting. You see, basically, the way it works is the mind, the conscious mind, the mind interacts. It goes out, it says, hi, how you doing? What are you doing? It's like the little child in the playground. It goes, hi, what are you doing? Want to play? Oh, good. Let's play ball. Oh, I don't have a ball. Let's go see my friend. He has a ball. It's like it loves that kind of interchange. The emotional body reacts. It never goes like out there and says, okay, let's do that. No, it's like, oh, okay. It's like mom who always just waits till you say something and goes, oh my God, really? Where the body adapts because it's always geared to action. It's always geared to, I'll get in a situation, I'm going to adjust to it, I'm going to make it work somehow. I'll get myself comfortable somehow, or as comfortable as I can get, and I'll still get my work done. And, and the left-handed person's always adapting. They're just always, the world, like I said, the world was designed for right-handed men. So.
It reappears.
It's relatively standard. It's like this happens a lot of times when people have, islands in the middle of the kitchen and things just piled up. But it's the same kind of thing. When you're walking in the room, it's the first place your eyes going. It's probably the first thing your eyes go to. Just because it's centered and there's nothing else on the walls that are catching your eye. And that's usually the dynamic. And you have to find some way to get your eye up and away from it. And maybe put a central thing there, or even put something on there that's relatively high, so at least when you come up, instead of looking down at it, you're looking up at it. Like I said, it's all about the posture. Like I said again and again, you got to walk in the room standing straight with your eye up, and that way your body's getting a sense of confidence at the point when you feel most vulnerable. That way you feel courageous, and courageous people don't have clutter. Look at soldiers. They pick up, we have to leave now. We're going to, in 5 hours or 3 hours, we're going to leave with all your gear. They're ready 2 hours early. They grab their back, their duffel bag. It's over their shoulder, and they're gone. How many of us could do that? They're ready to. This is part of their, part of their training is to be confident and ready for the future and confident about the future. Because they're trained. If you know soldiers, people who were career soldiers, years later, they still stand like this. They still stand ramrod straight. That early programming is there for their life, and they tend to be optimistic people. They have their heads up. So, other questions? Yes?
What's the thing about the head of your bed facing north?
Oh, it's always best to have it facing north because your body is designed that way. Your energy flows from the top of your head down the front of your body towards your feet, because that's how things work. Everything's designed to drain from your head down. If you ever watch a dog lay down, they'll go in circles until they find which way is north, and then they'll lay down with their head facing north. But this way, when you're, yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah, when you sleep, you want the field pushing down your body, because remember, this is future, hope, today, yesterday. You want your energy moving that way. You want your sense of hope, the energy flowing the way it's supposed to be going. If you're pushing it the wrong way, a lot of times when people sleep with their feet facing north, so it's pushing the other way, they've got anxiety attacks because everything's pushing up. It's like, an anxiety attack, what happens? It feels like it's rising up in your chest because your field will actually get flipped. And they can actually flip your field. Your field has a natural cycle where it comes up the back, across the top of the head, and down the front of the body, and then it moves from the left side of the brain through the corpus callosum to the right side of the brain. And sometimes I'll see people where it actually get flipped, where it's flowing the other way very slowly. It's like running an electric train the wrong way. You connect the electric train the wrong way. It will run the other way, but not so well. And it runs the other direction. And this happens a lot of times with certain psychoactive pharmaceuticals, because one of the ways they're doing it is it's disrupting the flow. It's slowing the flow down a little bit. So when they're muscle tested, you can't muscle test them effectively because the field isn't running the right direction. But facing the head of the bed north is always better. You can feel much happier.
When you're saying,
Well, I hope you enjoyed creating clarity. That was a fun talk to give. And I'd been working on this book for a number of years, working on it with Lonnie. And it came out of things that we saw when we did consulting. It came from seeing places that were so cluttered, it was sad. And yet you would see the same dynamics every time within the space, every time it was cluttered. And in reverse, you would see the same dynamics every time in the place when it was crystal clear and peaceful. And as we mentioned in the talk, it has a lot to do with what's on the walls and whether or not you are looking up. That concept of looking up is so important to how we as humans feel about our lives. You know, that everything's looking up is an expression that means I'm looking towards the future. I'm looking towards hope. And that's essential. You know, strategic ergonomics, our approach, which is the basis of strategic positions, is about instilling hope that we have so much potential as humans, so much potential to accomplish great things if we strategically position ourselves, if we put ourselves in the right place at the right time, if when the opportunity shows up, we're looking up. You know, if you're looking down, opportunity passes right by and you don't even notice it. And that's how life is. You have to be willing to be up there, be aware, and you are the only person who controls that. You know, when your mom kept saying to you, stand straight, she knew what she was talking about. How are you supposed to notice that pretty girl walking down the street if your head isn't up? Right? How are you supposed to notice when the teacher at the front of the class is saying, who knows the answer to this, if you're not looking up? How are you supposed to feel good about your prospects in life if you're not looking up? So keep those chins up. Hope you enjoyed these 2 episodes and come back and see us again for strategic positions. If you want to visit strategicergonomics.com, you will find all kinds of wonderful clips, videos, and articles about how to manage your space to optimize your talents and to allow you to work and live to your fullest potential. So enjoy, be well, and keep those chins